Djokovic has lost an appeal to stay in the country ahead of day one of the Australian Open tomorrow. The Federal Court of Australia has just handed down its final decision, sealing the fate of the men's world #1 tennis player. 3 judges have unanimously upheld the government's position that Djokovic is a threat to civil order and has become an icon for anti-vaccination groups. Well, joining us now is former Immigration Department Deputy Secretary Abul Rizvi. Abul, we know this is the final call with no appeal options for Djokovic, but the judges haven't yet revealed on exactly which grounds they're upholding this cancellation. What do you think clinched it?
Well, I think we need to understand the nature of the judicial review process that went on. And the judge actually made this very clear. He said the court makes no comment on the merits or the wisdom of the decision. Effectively, the power the minister had in this instance that he used only required him to check a number of technical legal boxes, and as long as he checked those, he was going to win.
So what does this mean for Novak? I mean, we're hearing he's going to be deported. How quickly is that going to happen?
Well, I suspect if he doesn't intend to lodge an appeal or seek the right to appeal to the High Court, I can't see any reason why he'd want to stay in Australia or defer departing. I suspect they will find the next flight, next convenient flight out of Australia for him.
And so what are the wider implications from this decision?
Well, that's the really fascinating issue here. Essentially what the government has done is said, if you are a non-citizen and you have strong anti-vaccination views, or indeed if you only have mild anti-vaccination views, as is the case with Mr Djokovic, and you are relatively prominent, you are not welcome in Australia. The challenge is, how does the government now put that into effect? What changes have to take place on our visa systems? What does that mean in terms of how it identifies who these anti-vaxxers around the world are, who Australia will ban? I think the government has really opened up a can of worms for itself on this.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, the Serbian president has already accused the federal government of harassing not only Novak, but his family and the entire nation. What will be the diplomatic fallout from all this?
Well, I guess we're not popular in Serbia at the moment, and probably won't be for a while. I think there is some merit in what the Serbian president is saying. I think if we consider the fact of how Mr Djokovic has been treated, and if we compare that with other anti-vaxxers in Australia, who are prominent Australians who promulgate anti-vaccination views, in respect of those, the government says very freedom of choice in respect of those people, yet for a non-citizen, a #1 tennis player in Australia, has been booted out of the country for views that are probably significantly milder.
Abul, we've heard there may be a 3-year ban attached to this ruling. Can Novak contest that? Surely we're not going to kick him out for the next 3 Australian Opens.
Now, the ban will apply, but he is able to, next time he wants to come to Australia, I don't know whether he'll ever want to come to Australia again, but assuming he does, he will need to make an application to the minister for a waiver of that ban. And I would imagine in Mr Djokovic's circumstances, assuming the issue of anti-vaccination and vaccination is no longer around, that's a big assumption, I suppose, I suspect most ministers would waive the 3-year ban.
Well, just quickly before we go, just to clarify something you said earlier, you think there's a small window of some sort of appeal open to Djokovic?
Oh, he could only seek leave to appeal to the High Court, and that...
There's a small window of some sort of appeal open to Djokovic?
Oh, he could only seek leave to appeal to the High Court, and that would take a substantial amount of time, and really the chances of him playing tomorrow by doing that are probably impossible.
All right.
There just is no time.
OK, Abul, we've run out of time too. Thanks so much. Always appreciate your insights.
You're welcome.
And Novak Djokovic has just released a statement on Twitter. He says, "I'm extremely disappointed with the ruling to dismiss my application for judicial review of the decision to cancel my visa, which means I cannot stay in Australia and participate in the Australian Open. I respect the court's ruling and I'll cooperate with the relevant authorities in relation to my departure."